A car turns into a driveway on an ordinary residential street just after 7 in the evening. It stops, and the engine goes quiet. The man inside does not get out. He sits with both hands still resting on the wheel, and something is wrong, though it would be hard to say what. He has just driven 11 kilometers. 2 roundabouts, a level crossing, 4 sets of lights. He cannot remember any of it. Not vaguely. Not in outline. There is nothing there at all. 20 minutes of his life, driven perfectly, and not 1 second of it kept. He was awake the whole time. He was competent. He stopped at every light. And no part of it was written down. So here is the question we'll follow through this film. Everyone past a certain age says the same sentence. That time is speeding up. That the years are getting shorter. That they cannot account for the last one. And a man in a driveway has just lost 20 minutes in exactly the same way. It is worth asking whether the year and the drive home are the same event at different sizes. Because if they are, then nothing is speeding up. Something else is happening. And we are the ones doing it. The most famous answer is also the most satisfying, which should always make us slightly careful. In the 1870s, a French philosopher named Paul Janet proposed that we do not measure a year against a clock. We measure it against everything we have already lived. To a child of 10, a year is a tenth of everything. To a man of 50, it is a 50th. The same year, arriving at a different scale and shrinking as it arrives. It is beautiful arithmetic. It explains the feeling exactly. And it is very probably not what is happening. Because the theory makes a promise. It says the shrinking never stops. Every year smaller than the last, forever, in a smooth curve with no floor under it. About 20 years ago, researchers went and asked hundreds of people, aged 14 to 94, about the speed of their own time. Ask about a week, and everyone agrees. Ask about a month, or even a year, and the answers still match. The young and the old report the identical speed. There is no age in it at all. It only appears when the question gets long. Ask how fast the last 10 years went, and the answers climb with age. And then, somewhere around 50, they stop climbing and sit down. A ratio does not sit down. A ratio has no idea what 50 is. So whatever this is, it is not doing the sum we assumed. Which means we have to go and find the thing that is actually keeping the time. Start with the obvious problem. You do not have a clock inside you. Nothing in the body counts a year. So when you ask yourself how long the last year was, you cannot check. You have to estimate. And the only material available is whatever you can find of it. In the late 1960s, an American psychologist named Robert Ornstein sat people down with tapes of tones and asked how long each tape had lasted. The tapes were the same length. What changed was how much was on them. Simple tapes, crowded tapes, the same minutes either way. The crowded tapes were reported longer. Every time. Same duration, and people came back with a different number because they were not reporting duration. They were reporting how much of it they had. Ornstein's proposal was blunt. Remember, time is a measure of storage. Not the passing of it. The size of what was kept. Which means the question we think we are asking is not the question we are actually answering. We say, how long was that year? What we do is reach into the year, feel around, and report back on whatever our hand closed on. A full year comes back long. A thin year comes back short. The clock on the wall has no vote in this whatsoever. And here is where it stops being a curiosity and becomes your life. Because we are not asking about tapes. We are asking about decades. The estimate is only ever as good as the archive. And nobody has checked what is in theirs. So we should go and look. Here is a procedure that has been run for decades now, in a lot of countries, and it keeps coming back the same. You take someone who is 70 or 80. You give them a plain word. A river. A door. A coat. And you ask for a memory it brings back. Any memory from any year of their life. They have 70 years to choose from. The choosing should be even. It is not. The memories come back clustered. Disproportionately from somewhere between 15 and 30. A window of maybe 15 years, carrying a share of the archive that has no right to be that size. It has a name. The reminiscence bump. And the first explanation everyone reaches for is the wrong one. It is not that those years were happier. Ask, and plenty of people will tell you quite frankly that they were awful. It is not that those years mattered more. A great deal of what matters most in a life arrives long after 30. What those years have is something duller than that, and much more powerful. They are the years of firsts. First job. First city. First room that was yours. First person who mattered. First funeral. The first time doing anything at all. None of it was skilled. All of it was difficult. And every one of them was recorded because not one could be done without paying attention. The bump is not a golden age. It is a density. And density is the only thing our measure of time can read. So we can go back to the man in the driveway now, because he has been sitting there this whole time. The first time he drove that route, he remembers it. He could tell you about it. He was frightened of the roundabout. He has now driven it perhaps 2,000 times. The 2,000th is gone. So are the 1,900 before it. Nothing went wrong. That is the part worth sitting with. Nothing went wrong at all. He got good at it. And getting good at something is the process of no longer having to notice it. That is what skill is. That is the whole of what skill is. The removal of attention from a task that no longer needs any. And attention is the thing that writes. In 1890, William James set this down in a book about how the mind works, and nobody has improved on it since. He said that in youth every hour brings something absolutely new, and so those years come back to us intricate and multitudinous and long. And then, he said, each passing year converts more of that experience into automatic routine we hardly note at all. The weeks smooth themselves out in memory into units with nothing inside them. The years, he wrote, grow hollow. And then they collapse. He wrote that at 48. It was not a theory he had read about somewhere. So the mechanism is not mysterious, and it was never arithmetic. Memory records difference. Competence removes difference. We have been erasing our own years by getting better at them. And nobody warned us that was the trade, because nobody knew it was a trade. Now the turn. Because there is a second clock, and it disagrees with the first one completely. The British broadcaster Claudia Hammond gave the problem its clearest name. She called it the holiday paradox. You go somewhere new for a week. Everything is unfamiliar, and the week goes past in a blink. You cannot believe it is already over. Then you come home, and something odd happens. The week that vanished is enormous. You unpack it for a month. Meanwhile, the week before you left, the ordinary one, felt endless while you were inside it. And it is not there now. There is nothing to unpack. 2 clocks. One running while it happens, one running when we look back. And they are not merely different. They are opposed. The full hour goes fast and stays. The empty hour drags and vanishes. Which means the boredom was never the problem. The boredom was the receipt. The Tuesday that would not end is the Tuesday that is gone. We complained about it the entire time it was happening, and then it did not exist. And the years we describe as flying past are, hour by hour, the least eventful hours we have ever lived. So nothing is accelerating. That should be a relief, and it is not, because the alternative is worse. The clock is fine. The clock has never once been wrong. It is the measuring that is thinning out, and it thins out because we spent our whole lives making everything easy. This is the part that will not resolve. Everything we call a good life, the ease, the fluency, the not having to think about any of it, is the same process that empties the archive. Childhood was not long because it was magic. Childhood was long because nothing yet was easy. Every day of it was a first attempt at something. And it is not a state anyone would go back to. Ask someone who is 15. They will tell you the time is unbearable, and they will be telling the truth. The man in the driveway takes the key out of the ignition. 20 minutes, driven perfectly. Not one of them kept. He goes inside. We say, where did it go, as though something took it. Nothing took it. We were there for every hour of it, and we were very good at all of them.